From the very first frame, Eerie doesn't let you breathe. The silence feels heavy, the hallways stretch on forever, and every corner feels like something is waiting. At first, it looks like a typical ghost story set inside a Catholic school. But the deeper you go, the more you realize it's not just about the ghost haunting these halls.
Hindi ko sinasadya.
It's about the real horrors buried in silence, repression, and control. This is not just a horror movie filled with cheap jump scares. Eerie uses fear to trap you, to hold you in its grip for the entire runtime. It takes the familiar tropes we know, the haunted school, the strict nuns, the lingering presence of the dead, and twists them into something more disturbing. In this video, we're going to uncover why Eerie is more than just a horror movie. From the haunted school trope to the unsettling use of Catholic imagery to its relentless pacing and terrifying jump scares, every element builds towards a story that reveals the deeper human kind of horror that lingers long after the credits roll. So, let's step into the halls of Santa Lucia Academy. Let's talk about Eerie. Let me tell you the story. The story is set in 1999 Manila inside Santa Lucia Academy, a strict Catholic girls' school where silence and fear govern every hallway.
Naiintindihan nyo?
Pat Consolacion works as the school's guidance counselor. Unknown to the nuns, she's also clairvoyant, able to sense and communicate with spirits. Every midnight, she secretly meets with the ghost of Eerie, a student who died by suicide years ago on campus.
Dapat ba ako matakot?
Her nightly routine is shattered when another student, Clara, is found gruesomely murdered inside the school. Suspicion quickly falls on Mang Fidel, the school groundskeeper and the only male employee on campus. He confesses to the crime under pressure, but his motives don't make sense. Pat suspects the real culprit is Soralice, the school's terrifying and authoritarian mother superior. Soralice has always viewed Pat with suspicion and openly threatens her job when Pat continues to meddle in the investigation.
Kapag nahuli kitang gumagala dito sa gabi, mapipilitan akong suspindihin ka, Patricia.
Meanwhile, Julian, a police investigator, asks Pat for help in uncovering what happened. With the students too frightened to talk, Pat turns to the only witness who cannot lie, the ghost of Eerie. Pat digs deeper. Disguising herself as a nun, she sneaks into Soralice's office and uncovers Eerie's case file. Soralice, almost as if unburdening herself, recalls her past as the school's guidance counselor. She admits that she failed Eerie.
Puntong yun, hindi ko na alam. Wala na akong magagawa.
That she saw how the girl was bullied, punished, and isolated, but chose not to intervene. She also confesses to seeing Mang Fidel near Clara on the night she died, while at the same time noticing Eerie's spirit watching over the scene. Path confronts Eerie in the confessional booth. What starts as a session of listening quickly spirals into horror. Eerie reveals the truth. She had been relentlessly bullied, mocked for her appearance, punished by the nuns, and humiliated by her mother. These cruelties drove her to hang herself in the school bathroom. But death only gave her more power. Eerie confesses that she manipulated others into violence, convincing her father to strangle her mother and Mang Fidel to kill Clara. Now, she sets her sights on Path as her next victim.
Paparating na siya.
Eerie possesses Julian's body, forcing him to hunt Path through the school halls. The chase climaxes on the rooftop where Julian, under Eerie's control, tries to strangle Path. Just as Path is about to die, Clara's spirit intervenes, pushing both herself and Eerie off the roof, sacrificing herself to save Path. The film's final moments leave a chilling echo. Though Pat seems like she survives, Julian ultimately kills her in the struggle. Path awakens as a spirit, wandering the halls she once worked in. In the school chapel, she encounters Joyce, another student on the verge of suicide. With whatever remnants of her strength remain, Pat stops Joyce from jumping, suggesting that, even in death, she may continue her role as a guidance counselor, trying to break the cycle of silence and despair haunting Santa Lucia Academy.
Nandito lang ako, Joyce.
When you first stepped into Eerie, it feels like a familiar horror movie setup. An all-girls Catholic school, a sudden death, and a ghost haunting the schools. But this isn't just a ghost story. Catholic imagery has always been fertile ground for Filipino horror, and Eerie thrives on it. The school is a fortress of faith, but also a prison of fear. Soraliche, the head nun, embodies a twisted form of discipline, stern, unrelenting, and almost inhuman. Prayer, confession, and obedience aren't shown as sources of salvation, but as weapons that silence and control. The horror doesn't just come from the ghosts, it comes from the institution itself. We've all heard ghost stories set in classrooms and corridors, and Eerie leans into this trope with chilling precision. Santa Lucia Academy is filled with the kind of spaces that stay in your memory long after childhood. Dimly lit bathrooms, echoing halls, and dormitories that feels too quiet. But here, these spaces aren't just backgrounds. They breathe, they watch. Every corner feels alive with the weight of secrets. Eerie's death didn't end her story. It turned the entire school into her grave and her prison. Beneath the supernatural scares, the film is really about cycles of violence and silence. Eerie was bullied, punished, and abandoned. She was a victim who should have been protected, but instead, she was broken. And in death, she becomes what she hated. Someone who manipulates, who hurts, who perpetuates the same cruelty she endured. It's a haunting reflection of real life. Abuse breeds more abuse. Violence breeds more violence. Path, the guidance counselor, becomes the only one willing to listen, to break the cycle. But her compassion makes her a threat to the very system that thrives on silence. In choosing to hear Eerie's story, she steps into danger herself. Because to break the cycle means to confront the institution that keeps it alive. And through it all, Eerie never lets you breathe. Unlike horror movies that rely on one-off jump scares, this film sustains its dread like a suffocating grip. It stretches the tension across its entire 1 hour and 40-minute runtime. Every lingering shot, every silence that feels too long, every sudden crash of sound, it's all designed to keep you on edge. You're not given a moment of relief because neither is Path. The fear follows her, and by extension, it follows us as well. Eerie isn't just another ghost story, it's a mirror reflecting how silence, fear, and blind obedience can turn even a place meant for safety into a breeding ground for horror. Just like in Seclusione, where fate and corruption collided inside the walls of a convent, Eerie shows us how institutions can harbor not just ghosts, but the darker truths people refuse to confront. In the end, what makes Eerie so unsettling isn't just Eerie's ghost. It's the realization that the true horrors are the ones created by people, by systems, by the silence we allow to fester. The supernatural may haunt the halls, but it's the human-made monsters that linger long after the credits roll. So, when the film asks us to look into the darkness of Santa Lucia Academy, maybe it's asking us to look into the darkness of ourselves as well.